Welcome to the New Rugged Order podcast, exclusively on the Hard Knock Digital Culture channel. Now give it up to your host people, MM2K.
Yo, we are back. What is up, people? How are y'all doing, man? It's your boy, MM2K of PNTS Network and Hard Knock Digital Culture. And we're back again with another episode of NRO podcast, or NRO live. If you're watching it live, you get to hang out with us in the chat as they chop it up. Cold Blood Sensei, I know, will be here momentarily to talk his crap. He's like the de facto co-host of everything here on this platform. That's my brother from another mother. And everybody else that shows up, Sean and everybody else, we have a blast. Ron, Slusher, IOG, anyone else that's Reverend Woods, you name it, man. Anybody that shows up here, we have a blast in the chat. With that being said, we have a special show for you today. This is the first show that we've had since my Epiphany podcast under NRO Mic Check, which I know had a lot of people talking. They were like, what? MM2K is actually out here defending Xbox? Wow. Yeah, I felt like under a particular pretense, I had to defend the product that could still illuminate through all their mess. I'm not defending their practices. I'm not defending the things that they've done in the past. I'm not defending their failures. But you're recognizing what Microsoft could actually be good at under this current regime in the talent lineup. And you could reasonably say there's a product to be had there. Doesn't mean that all the other stuff on the periphery isn't disappointing. And we're going to tap into all that. But first, we are going to talk about Starfield. There's a lot of stuff going on with Starfield. And it is sad to see the discourse behind this game. And there's not one guilty party. I'm not going to come here and say, oh, the leakers are the blame because they're trying to hate on it and it's all on their fault. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if this game wasn't overhyped, then none of this would be happening. Or rather yet, I'm not going to sit here and say, to be more definitive on what's going on the other side, that, oh, people are making excuses for the game and the excuses don't make any sense and da-da-da-da. It's not one single thing. It's a plethora of things that just shows you how convoluted the conversation is within the gaming community on social media, and particularly Twitter. It's in disarray. And if you come here, you recognize these are one of the few places you can go to have reasonable, sound conversation about what's going on in the gaming space. You know what I mean? Particularly the AAA genre defining space. You come here for that. We give that to you. Hopefully you appreciate it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some amazing NPD numbers for one side and some jarring NPD numbers for the other side. And what does that mean? We're not just going to criticize one side versus the other. We're going to say, look, this is signs of what you need to do here. This is signs that you need to start traversing over there. You know what I'm saying? So are they going to do it? Only time will tell. But what is the track that they need to traverse? We'll talk about that. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at the remaining games that we know of for 2023 that check that big ticket genre defining box. Which one has us the most anticipated? Which ones aren't we really paying attention to? We're going to get into that. All right. So what we're going to do today, which we do off and on. What we're going to do today, what we do off and on, is we're going to do an episode of The Capsule. That is our YouTube video format where we talk, we try to summarize what we're going to get into here in the podcast in like 5, maybe 10 minutes max. We put it out during YouTube because, those shorter videos are more digestible there. But then after we put it on YouTube, we come back here and we discuss, we'll discuss it. And this time we're going to have a follow-up article too on PNTS Network about this. And it's all about Starfield. So we're going to have all that. Let me see here. I just want to make sure that everybody, you got time. I'm live now. Live now. Let me know if you can hear and see properly. I did something new. I was running into problems earlier, and all last week, sound clipping has been something that's been with us the last couple of months. All of a sudden, visuals don't look good, streams don't look good. It's because of Windows primarily. Like 90% of the issues were caused by Windows. So I just said to hell with it, and I spent most of last week not really doing any streams outside of our podcast here. So I spent that time instead tweaking everything, OBS, Streamlabs, you know what I mean, the recording quality, and now you have it, because I got a video that I'm going to do, and it's going to be for cloud dosage, but it's going to be on GFN and this whole PC Game Pass part. So you guys that regularly frequent here, that really aren't into cloud gaming, you could come and check that out. I think that'll be right up your alley as well. So we're going to do that. We're going to be talking about gaming as a whole, and we're going to have some fun with it. So check us out on that video when we do. We're going to do the stream directly after this on Cloud Dosage News. We're going to chop it up into a smaller video for a later time and date. But you can enjoy, of course, join us for that game stream right after this. Another thing too is that because I had to do all that, there wasn't a lot of gameplay streaming except for test streams. I was doing a lot of test streaming on Division 2, and man, oh man, was I kicking some ass. So we're going to release those later on Cloud Dosage streams. Really haven't been on there for a couple of months. Been doing some things here and doing things on the MM2K Gaming channel to get that revved up and started. Now I think it's time to go back. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm a one-man band here, jumping around doing different things. So you can definitely check us out on Cloud Dosage streams. I'm going to have something for Cloud Dosage News, a snippet later on in the week. But definitely join us on Cloud Dosage News for when we showcase Xbox PC Game Pass on GFN. You're not going to want to miss that. All right. So I don't know who's all in the chat. I've let the usual suspects know that we're here. I don't know. Is there problems? Because people have been tagging me, asking me when I'm going live, and I don't see any responses yet. So it's making me feel like there's problems, but I checked on my phone. It didn't look like there was any problems. Twitch. No, not Twitch. Let's do, what do you call that? What's that application? Twitter. Yeah, there shouldn't be any issues. Okay, yeah, I sent messages out to people. Nobody's responded. So I'm going to assume that everything is okay. That you guys can see me and hear me fine real time. I got one more thing that I need to do, which is bring up the chat for me to display. And as soon as I find that, there we go. There goes the feature chat. As soon as I do that, I'm going to, we're going to do the, we're going to get right into it, and we're going to do the capsule, the episode for the capsule. We're going to get that out of the way because we got a lot of stuff to cover today. I don't have all day. I don't have all day today. All right. So I tried, I tried reaching out to people to see if everything is good on their end. Hold on, let's see here. There's nobody responded back. I'm going to assume that everything is okay. Let me recycle this one more time. It's still telling me that the bit rate is okay. Yeah, if you're watching this, let us know if you can hear or see. Okay, can you hear? Can you hear and see? Okay, because I really can't tell. Everything is showing up on my end, but it's going to do. Twitch is goofy like that. I'm going to assume that everything is okay, that people can hear and see just fine. And if you can, we're just going to go on to the show. All right. So, like I said, we're going to record an episode of The Capsule. We hope you guys enjoy it. It summarizes this whole debacle with Starfield and the silliness behind I'm going to use that as a backtrack. That's why I paused the music. The silliness behind the leaks and the discourse around it. So with no further ado, here it goes. Is the title of this video is called Starfield Leaks and Bethesda's Frustrations, Unveiling the Storm. All right. So we're going to go and do this. We're going to make it blank. And we're going to get ready in 3, 2, 1. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? No, you know what? I just realized something. Let's stop that. Before we get started, I need to have... Why don't I get my Starfield stuff up? Let's get my Starfield videos up. In game. Is this Starfield right here? This looks like Starfield video. Properties. Oh yeah, this is all Starfield stuff. This is perfect. Already set up. So I could have kept going. Starfield stuff already here. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back here. And we're going to do this in 3, 2, 1. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy MM2K of PNTS Network and Hard Knock Digital Culture, back again with another episode of The Capsule. This is the show where we do a quick snippet of the latest and greatest in gaming news, and boy, oh boy, do we have a big one for you today. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and rock those bells. Hold on one second. Okay, so now I'm going to stop the recording. So, Cold Blood, you said the bad audio changed to Linux? Huh? You're saying the audio is an issue. What's wrong with the audio? You got to help me out here, brother, so I can identify the problem. What specifically is happening with the audio? Let's see here. This is the audio was fine. You rat mother. Okay. No, I'm actually not mad. I'm glad, because what was making me mad is I had to go fix something. All right, so the little son of a blah, 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 blah. He got me, y'all. All right, let's do this. Third time's the charm. All right, so we got an audio track back, and let's do this in 3, 2, 1. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy MM2K of PNTS Network and Hard Knock Digital Culture, back again with another episode of The Capsule. This is where we talk about the latest and greatest in video gaming news, but we try to give you a shorter chunk of it. We try not to bloviate and talk for hours and hours and hours. Give you a small but really detail-oriented sector of what's going on in the latest and greatest in gaming news. And boy, oh boy, do we have a great one for you today. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and rock those bells for notifications, please, so you know when we're dropping these doses. All right. So today's video is surrounding the controversy that was brought upon the gaming community once Starfield gameplay was leaked early. All right. So therefore, the title of this one is Starfield Leaks and Bethesda's Frustration, Unveiling the Storm. So first and foremost, welcome to today's video. We're diving into the world of Starfield leaks and Bethesda's frustration. The excitement for Starfield is immense in certain pockets of the gaming community, but some content creators have breached the NDA, sharing leaked gameplay. Now, this has stirred a storm of frustration within the gaming community, and according to a lot of activity on Twitter, fans are expressing disappointment with the leaks and doing a lot of micromanaging of every single detail thereafter. And people are emphasizing the importance of respecting the developer's efforts, which I concur. But with that being said, that still leads us to our next part, which is the pitfalls on relying on leaks. Now, leaked footage can be intriguing or equally unappealing, but determining a game's quality from it alone is problematic. Gamers should be cautious when forming opinions based solely on leaked content. Footage lacks the complete context a game provides. Playing a game allows us to understand its mechanics, storytelling, and overall experience. Leaks can be misleading and don't guarantee a game's final quality. Leaked Starfield footage may look promising or may look unappealing, but we must remember the true essence of a game can only be experienced firsthand. And that brings us to our next section. Managing expectations. Xbox's role in the hype machine. Now, Xbox fans and the company themselves have contributed to the heightened scrutiny of Starfield. Hear me out. The anticipation surrounding this Xbox exclusive has skyrocketed, generating intense expectations. Now, while Starfield, for instance, might excel and excite the demo most attached to such a game, for a general consensus, it's crucial to manage expectations. Bethesda Softworks games do have the potential of seeing massive crossover appeal, but that's not always a given. Where Fallout 4 and Skyrim have become household names with gamers in unison, more of their content, or most of it, only has reached a successful but niche audience. Case in hand, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, ESO, Fallout 76. Those are examples of games that, yes, have seen some good numbers, but not the blockbuster numbers that we may see with games that are generally conceived as games of the year or the best games ever. You know what I mean? There may be a lot of talk in hardcore circles, which has a lot of weight, but again, it's just the hardcore circles. This is the best game ever. Bethesda are the kings of this and the kings of open world or whatever. But that doesn't always translate to the general gaming public. All right? So therefore, the extreme hype can lead to disappointment, as no game can fully meet exaggerated anticipations. This is the case even if the game does well with its intended demographic. Starfield could be fantastic within its core or within its niche or whatever you want to call it, but labeling it as the best game ever might be setting an unrealistic standard, not fair to the overall success of the game. And that, my friends, leads us to the conclusion. In the realm of gaming, leaks have the power to ignite excitement or instill skepticism. However, they should be approached with caution. Placing undue importance on leaked content, whether positively or negatively, disregards the holistic experience games offer. The pitfalls of forming opinions based solely on leaks are evident. The same caution should be exercised when dealing with the fervor of hype surrounding a developer like Bethesda Softworks, who, again, we went over the catalog of games. Yes, they've had a couple that had that massive crossover appeal, but more have not. Now, while celebrated for certain titles, not all of their creations attain widespread success. Overhyping a work like Starfield can magnify expectations to unsustainable levels, setting the stage for potential disappointment. Let's remember, a game's value is more than leaks or exuberant anticipation. It's the culmination of storytelling, mechanics, and engagement that can only be assessed through personal experience. And with that said, that's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, because like we always say, who cares what I think? But if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow me. Those links will lead you to the Broadman Bullies PNTS Network, Hard Knock Digital Culture, and yes, Cloud Dosage. With all that said, my friends, peace. Have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. And that is it, my friends. That is the early access to the capsule. Let's talk about it on the back end. But before we do, let's get to our comments here in our chat section. Let me see here. I don't have everything set up as I should. Shame on me. Cold Blood says, very good, Tyrone did the God's work. He leaked that ish so everyone knows they overhyped the ish out of this game. And unfortunately, he had to go to jail for his sacrifice. We should thank him. Oh, so Tyrone is a martyr now. Better call Tyrone. Call him. So Tyrone is a martyr. Nah, bro got a little too itchy. That wasn't even an NDA thing. See, here's the thing, Cold Blood. I'm not even mad at Tyrone. I mean, I'm not gonna shed a tear for him. I mean, bro, internet fame can't be that special, bro. Like, you do realize that video games outmake movies and I think music combined now? And you think leaking one of the most talked about games this year and one of the most hyped up games, as we addressed, you think that was going to lead to no repercussions? Like, it's one thing that you put that information out there. Okay, fine, you leaked it. But then you went out and you sold copies and you associated everything to the same tag, bruh. No. Dumb. Then you put your face on camera. What is you doing? That's a societal idiocy that, despite the equal appreciation that I have, Cold Blood, that he put the stuff out here and we ain't have all these fanboys that want to overhype the game. We ain't have them to listen to. I think when he put his leak out there, what it did is it brought the hype down to reasonable expectations. Now, I could be wrong. When everything is said and done, this game could be a 10 out of 10. However, from what I see, I don't see that. But that's okay. It don't have to be a 10 out of a 10. Like, for instance, one of my favorite games this year is Forspoken. We know Forspoken is not a 10 out of a 10. Hell, I don't even give it a full. I'm on the fence of giving it an 8 out of a 10. I'm close to it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm on the fence again. It's like a 79 out of 100. I don't do like single digit scores. You know me and my and super intensive scoring mechanics. I give it like a 79 out of, which I'm having a lot of fun with. Atomic Heart is another one I'm having a lot of fun with. I got to get back to. There's just been too many damn games. So I can enjoy a game that's, you know what I'm saying? It's like not perfect, or it doesn't have to, everything doesn't have to be stellar, even though first and foremost, I'm looking for that stellar experience, but I am looking for games that I can enjoy along the way. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're going on a road trip, you might be, your destination might be Disney World, but you don't mind stopping at a Red Lobster or you know, a restaurant, you know, a cool restaurant here and there, even though you plan on doing all your fancy eating once you get to Disney World, right? So along the way, along for the ride, I don't mind the Atomic Hearts or the Forspokens. I think they're cool. The problem is that the problem is, oh, I thought I heard something buzzing. The problem is that despite all that, you have somebody that, you know, you have it, or not somebody, but you have a situation where a game like that pit stop or something greater than a pit stop is now you're telling me that my visit to Red Lobster along the way is going to be equally as great as my final destination, Disney World. That's the problem. There's nothing wrong with stopping by Red Lobster. Red Lobster can be a lot of damn fun and you get some good eating there. But if it's not at the level of what I'm going to experience when I get to Disney World and try all the different places there, don't do that. And I don't even blame Bethesda, Because when they were hyping up this game, they know their audience. They were doing it at the Bethesda showcase specifically for their audience. And they did use granular terms. And they want to see some hype, but this was just for the singular game and for their singular audience. Now the game is being boosted as the tell-all be-all for Xbox. They've even went out of their way to axe the importance of Halo and now make Starfield the new Halo. Do you know how much stress that is? And how much of a failure that could be? And unfairly so to Starfield. Now you create the scenario where Starfield has to be a 95 or above. Like even a 90 or below is going to find some ridicule. You still can't, man. This was supposed to be the best game ever. It don't even beat Baldur's Gate. I can hear it now. It don't even beat Baldur's Gate. Microsoft spent $8 billion on this, they sent out all their technicians and told us to be hyped about this. I can hear it now. The expectations were unfair, and Microsoft and the zealot community are responsible for them. Period. Let's go back to some more comments in the chat. He said, now we know why they hide the game so much, not even allowing previews. Yeah, I think a lot of people say that Phil Spencer just was emotional when he was on the Kind of Funny interview. I think Phil Spencer kind of realized at that point that maybe they had overhyped Starfield, just like how they overhyped Redfall. I believe Starfield is nowhere near the ilk of Redfall. I'm in the realm of belief, as someone that likes those type of games, and for other people, gamers that like that type of game, I really think that demographic, which can be large, will enjoy that game. I think that game is, regardless of all the stuff that's happening on the periphery, I think Starfield is going to do very, very well on PC. Yeah, we're going to see over double digit in the millions sales on PC, I feel. When everything is said and done, I think you're going to see close to PC. I mean, you're going to see close to Cyberpunk numbers when it first launched, I feel, on PC. Not necessarily console, on PC. Now, when it comes to console, I don't know. There's not really sales. There's going to be Game Pass engagements. And now they're making you pay for the full month, which I understand because they got to recoup. So it's like now there's fear. I don't know. Did they do that? Because if you're confident in your game, what you're going to do is you'll still have that trial, because the trial is even more alluring to gamers to try out Game Pass. And Starfield will be the big hook. And why not give them access for $1, right? Well, that's if you're confident. Like if I know, if I do day and date, and let's just say I know that I can put Baldur's Gate in day and date, you damn well better believe I might do the whole month for $1. I might do 3 months for $1 if I'm confident. Again, I'm not saying this is the tell-all about the what you're gonna get with the game. I'm just saying I'm just trying to pinpoint how certain actions meet certain psyche. The psyche of the Xbox internal team as it relates to determining what's good or great isn't worth its weight. You know what I mean? Like, we've been told for years, Crackdown is just fine. I was just playing it. It was just fine. And we had Phil come out there and introduce Redfall. So that whole psyche is damaged when it comes to, they have no clue what they have in their hands. They might be excited about it, but I think Phil's come to the realization that the things that get him revved up and excited don't translate to the average consumer. I think he's finally realized that. Like the average consumer, we talked about this, the enthusiastic to try and the yearn for compelling. There are two types of gamers out there that have a predominant gaming gene. Again, enthusiastic to try are those gamers that I kind of, took an underhanded shot at, but, to be fair to them and more serious, they enjoy playing games. Like the journey to Disneyland, like I said, Red Lobster or whatever, that's good enough for them. That's what gets them excited, is the journey. So instead of necessarily going to Red Lobster, instead of necessarily going to Disneyland, they just take a road trip. They take a road trip and they'll go to all the little destination stop places, and that exercise is enjoyment enough to them. Those are the enthusiastic to try gamers. They just love traversing spaces where they can access games and trying them out. That's their excitement. That's the compelling nature for them. But then there's the yearn for compelling gamers. And the yearn for compelling gamers, they want that genre defining experience. They want that experience that puts all developers on notice and makes all developers go, damn, I wish I would have came up with that. Like a Baldur's Gate, you know what I'm saying? Like, like games that are at the top of the echelon as far as recognition and critical acclaim. Those are the experiences that they yearn for. So therefore, those type of gamers, that's what they're looking for first and foremost. Every year, like a vacation to Disney World, they know Disney World is their location, is where it all rests its nests, is at Disney World. But along the way, they'll stop at different destinations, a Red Lobster, or this or that, Geauga Lake, or whatever, just for the travel purposes. And that's where these other games that they play that may not be at the top of their list, but they still enjoy them and playing, because those are things that keep them, going and revved up and keep them fueled while they're waiting to get to the main destination, which, this year for some could be Spider-Man. This year for some could be Starfield. This year for folks like me, it was Remnant 2 or Final Fantasy. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a genre defining big ticket game that is your focus, that you're looking is really going to change your gaming experience for the better and enhance it. And that's what yearn for the compelling gamers look for. Phil Spencer, I think he has both genes, but his enthusiastic to try gene way more dominates his yearn for compelling. And therefore, when he gets in front of games like Crackdown and Redfall, and the fact that they're playable and the fact that there's fun to be had in those games, that's what excites him. And when he hits the mic, he speaks in relative terms for the type of gamers under his DNA, but he uses terms that are for the yearn for compelling gamers, because the yearn for compelling gamers are the most vocal gamers in his core. And they're the ones that can make things itty real quick, So he brings the enthusiasm based off of what a certain enthusiastic to try user would think, but he's speaking to the wrong crowd. He's speaking to the yearn for compelling. I don't want to say wrong, because a lot of it now seems to be intentional, because he understands how vocal that base is within its core. And that's what I was trying to explain in my last episode. Not that I was excusing their stuff, but Microsoft just clearly has changed. They're a different product and a different service. They're like GE. And we predicted this years ago. Cold Blood will tell you, I said it was a problem years ago, though. I said the problem with Microsoft is that they are GE. They don't want to excel anywhere. They just want to be everywhere. And when you go get a General Electric appliance, and GE might be just to the States, I don't know. But when you get a General Electric, just listen to the name. You know you're getting a solid product that's enjoyable, but it's not the best of the best, but you're getting a solid product. And the price, it may not be the best, but it's not too high. You know, it's general. It's at that bar minimum. And that's what Xbox is trying to do. They're trying to just be everywhere and just meet that bare minimum. And that's why value is their talking point. And I said it was a problem, and I do think it's a problem because it presents a situation where PlayStation isn't being challenged, which that is not good. But the silver lining is, as really as a publisher, someone that's bringing content to other ecosystems or other platforms, let alone their own ecosystem, I think that's where they shine at. You know, I talked about it before. You know, PC Game Pass on GFN, that is something good. Just like Ubisoft Plus on GFN is good. At that capacity, it works. But there are problems. They've sold people a bag of goods with the Series S. They're not competing with PlayStation on genre-defining content. That's why we're seeing PlayStation just pretty much be flippant and do what they want to do as far as communication and mindshare. We're going to talk about that. But there is some type of silver lining. We still have a need, though. We still need PlayStation to be challenged, but it is what it is. It's not coming from Microsoft. It's not. And it's a shame when Microsoft themselves, instead of being fully transparent on what their product is and what it isn't, they still are talking this yearn for compelling lingo, but in the interim, they're throwing their other content under the bus. Like they threw Arcane Studios under the bus with Redfall. It should have never released the way that it was, if at all. And I feel like that they're partially throwing Starfield under the bus. I don't know if Starfield can live up to its hype, and that's not fair. So we'll see. Maybe it can. Maybe I'll, after the reviews drop and the general consensus is out there, I'll be like, oh, well, I was wrong. Starfield could live up to those expectations. It is as big as Baldur's Gate, or if not bigger this year. It is one of the biggest games of the past few years or whatever. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. And if I am, that's fantastic. That means we got a banger of a game. But setting expectations, as I said and as I allude to in that video, is very important. And I think let me give you guys this, if I can find it. I have an article here that I'm about to write, and I'm going to give you guys a quick look at that article. Oh no, I can do it through here. Oh no, I can't. Damn it. I can't give you a look, but here's what I can do. I can read you the last paragraph of this article. And tell you my sentiments in the article, the article format of the video that you saw us record. I say, conclusion: beyond leaks and exuberant anticipation, Bethesda Softworks' legacy has been shaped by both celebrated and niche titles. Overhyping a game like Starfield threatens to amplify expectations to unsustainable levels, risking potential disappointment. Ultimately, a game's worth extends beyond leaks and exuberant anticipation. It is the culmination of gameplay, storytelling, and immersion that define a game's value. The potential sad thing for Bethesda is, though potentially providing this favorably, Xbox and gamer rhetoric could overshadow their accomplishments. And that's the truth. This could be a great experience that lands as an 89, 88, and that's the space it belongs in. But because so much has been put on this game, so much that the game just couldn't live up to, just due to the nature of who it really appeals to and what it takes for it to have cross appeal. Yeah. It's just appalling to see this potentially get overshadowed by rhetoric from the parent company themselves. So that's what I had to say about that. Let's continue to read some more comments before we move on. Cobra says, I don't care about him. Laugh out loud. He can rot in jail. You a dumb mofo if you sell stolen ish. He said, this game won't save Xbox for mediocrity. Yeah, even if this game, and again, I'm not trying to make excuses because it's not like I got a dog in this fight. I want a reason to buy an Xbox. Or at worst, I want a reason to consistently be in the ecosystem and beyond maybe $10 a month. Because that's what it looks like it's going to be for me. It's like I'm going to pay $10 a month for PC Game Pass. That's it. That's all Xbox will ever be able to get from me. But I want reasons to be excited beyond that and to buy games and do all that. You know what I mean? And to to invest as much as in Xbox as I do. Hell, even GFN. With GFN, I'm just paying $20 a month. I want a reason to do that. Xbox isn't giving me one. So, with all that said, yeah, even if this game is a 10 out of a 10, this is one game. And people may look at me and say that's hatery. No, that's not me hating, or that's not hatery. That's real. And there's a precedent already set for this. Halo was the biggest game ever at the time it was launched. There was no bigger games than Halo 1 and Halo 2 at that time. You know what I mean? And gamers, like, Halo exploded as far as general consensus. Like I told you guys, I had an employee that ran into administrative troubles with us because she couldn't get her ass to work on time. Why? Because her, as a soccer mom who never played games before outside of like maybe Pac-Man or something, you know what I mean? She was up all night playing Halo with her kids. Halo is that big. And guess what? Despite it being that big, it still didn't make Xbox competitive against PlayStation. PlayStation walloped Xbox 150 million console sales to 29 million with Halo. Now, granted, of that 29 million, the overwhelming majority had Halo on the brain, so they would buy Halo. And so Halo, you know, the attachment rate for Halo on the Xbox was huge. That's why it was the biggest game ever. But no. And so even if people do say, you know what, because of Starfield, I do have to get an Xbox now. Is the one game alone going to change the trajectory? Like Xbox OG, their lineup destroys what Xbox is even proposing now. I'm sorry. Even if Starfield, Starfield will never be as important to Xbox as much as Halo was. Like Halo is the thing that gave Xbox life. Starfield could potentially have people take it seriously in the AAA discussion, but Xbox really don't need it to survive, especially if they get APK as it looks like they're going to get. It keeps them, Starfield keeps them relevant in the AAA discussion depending upon how it lands. And that is important to Xbox because they do want to continue to deceive their AAA brass of their gamers to make it seem like that they're going to be pumping this stuff out regularly, and they're not. But when you look at what the OG Xbox had to offer, Starfield is nowhere near as important as Halo was to the Xbox ecosystem. Then you compare the rest of the stuff that they had: Jade Empire, Armed and Dangerous, Knights of the Old Republic, all the Western shooters that they had that were a way more better. Splinter Cell. Like, come, give me a break. Give me a break. I had to channel my inner Nell Carter. Look her up. Fable, this rebooted goofy looking Fable, even Hell's Blade, none of these games that were shown can hold a stick to the critical acclaim and the gravity that surrounded all of the other exclusive titles for Xbox during the OG era. They just can't. And even though the pedigree and the quality of those games scorch what Xbox has even put out there now, they still couldn't make Xbox competitive to PlayStation. What made Xbox competitive to PlayStation were two things. A, Xbox getting all of the genre-defining games on Xbox that you can get on PlayStation. Now we got Final Fantasy, we got other third-party games that are not coming to Xbox that are coming to PlayStation. It's not as severe as it was at OG Xbox versus the PlayStation 2, but it's still bad. Xbox has to fix that. Number two, Xbox has to start again regularly pumping out genre-defining games at the same rate, if not more, than PlayStation until they do. And then even if Xbox does that, it becomes competitive and split down the middle. Now people say, no, why would they even care to be competitive? They're looking at being a whole ecosystem. So is PlayStation. Well, Xbox has a lot of money. They do have a lot of money behind Microsoft, but the leadership is just blowing the money. How does PlayStation have, or is demonstrating 4K gaming on the cloud before you? How is that even possible? So again, the leadership is off, Keister. It don't matter how much money you have. And PlayStation's building an ecosystem too. So while you're looking to have success in a certain region, don't act like PlayStation won't be right beside you. And your money means nothing. All it could do is buy publishers. But your money means nothing because look what you've done with your money in the past. Look at xCloud in comparison to its peers, and then now what PlayStation is offering. So that whole mantra of, oh, they got more money and they're looking to be an ecosystem, so is PlayStation. PlayStation is in the same places that Xbox is. The only difference is they don't advertise it as much right now because it's not in a sunrise state. Cloud gaming is only 1% of the business. PlayStation is like, we're just going to be real gradual on how we grow this thing and how we market it until it becomes bigger. Once it becomes bigger, our hand will become heavier in that space. We're not going to lose or overspend for 1% of the business. Now, as a cloud gaming enthusiast, I would definitely like for them to do more. But they follow the numbers. The numbers are with the mainstream consumer. And those numbers tell them via the mainstream consumer that at this moment, they don't have to pursue that as heavily. See, I think people don't understand this whole, yo, Sean, is everything good? Is the audio and the video good on your side? I have to make some changes. I think people don't understand the purpose that we have these discussions here. Because when we talk to you or you come here, two things need to happen. As you're listening to what we're talking about, you're to ask yourself one or two questions. These issues that are being brought up, particularly about Xbox, do they apply to me? And if the answer is no, then you can either say, you know what, this discussion isn't for me, or yeah, this discussion isn't for me, but I'm still going to hang around and listen to it. It's entertaining. Or if it does apply to you, but you think that Xbox is going to fix it and do a 180 on it, then that's where you need to listen up. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can relate to these concerns with the Series S and 30 frames per second and all, but you are in the mindset that because you believe the rhetoric from the zealot community that they're going to turn it around and once again become dominant in the genre defining space, they just need some time. You are being fooled. You have fell for the marketing ploy that they've put out there, and you fell for the smoke and mirrors that were sprayed out there by the zealot evangelist content creators out there in the favor of Xbox. And you're the one that we're speaking to. We're trying, what's his name? Shout out to Lino of Reforged Gaming. I was listening to him over the weekend and he put it best. I'm actually not against you in bringing this stuff up. You may think, oh, MM2K is bringing this up because he wants clicks. That's the farthest thing from the truth. I'm actually not against you. I actually have a lot more experience than most of you with this product. Because you're only listening, if you're listening to this, you're only listening because subconsciously you know something's wrong with Xbox. You know it. You may not be willing to admit it. Maybe you have admitted it. But again, you believe that they're going to honestly and transparently turn it around. And I'm here to tell you, based upon my years of experience with Xbox, being able to thoroughly vet what they've done over the last few years, they are not. Now, I've argued the last show, even though they're not, they still have a compelling argument as a service or a product for a particular type of gamer. It's just unfortunate that the type of gamer that the service or product is for is not the type of gamer that makes up the majority of the voices out there on social media for them. So therefore, they have to placate. I don't want to say they have to, but they placate to a wing of the gaming community that they're no longer building their product for. Now, the fact that they're no longer building their product for that wing isn't a bad thing. Nintendo went through the same thing. But the fact that they continue to placate to that group and play with that group's emotions, that's the problem. And if you're one whose emotions they're playing with, like you know there's problems, but you're like, they're going to fix them. You just wait. This is a different generation. I got news for you. No, they're not. They are not. The product and the service has changed at its root, at its core. And if you are looking for genre defining game, if that is a must for you, then or if that's a must for you and you're looking for it at a regular cadence, you must get a PlayStation. Those are your options right now. Whether you or I like it or not, you must get a PlayStation. Now, if you're looking for value gaming and the pursuit of bringing that value gaming to you, regardless of what platform you're on, then that's where Xbox shines. They're kind of like a publisher. That's where they shine best at. Well, next to their controllers. They shine best at when they operate as a publisher. And having access to their games now via GFN and them bringing Bethesda games and then potentially Activision games, that is the biggest, brightest silver lining out of all this when it comes to them. And both can be in your portfolio. And depending on the type of gamer that you are, Microsoft can predominate or PlayStation could predominate, or they could be equal. But if you are a genre defining gamer and you were like me, used to getting your needs met solely by Xbox, those days are over. They're over. It was a tough pill for me to swallow a couple years ago, but I had to come to that realization. And the big bad PlayStation, the one that we used to gawk at, the one that we tried here and there, and we just would throw up our lunch and be like, oh, this is infamous. Oh, this is trash. Oh, this is walking simulator. This is an interactive movie. Oh. That PlayStation has evolved into a PlayStation that not only brings good storytelling content, good cinematic content, but stellar gameplay as well. They have morphed. They have evolved. And that stellar gameplay that you used to get from Xbox in your genre-defining games, that is no longer there, along with the addition of their great cinematic storytelling, is all over at PlayStation for the most part. You need a PlayStation. I'm sorry. And again, I get it where a lot of people are turned off because PlayStation's ecosystem isn't as open as Xbox. But whatever they do, it works. That's the difference. Microsoft talks up the technological side and them attempting to do this, and they open this up here and there, and the results are mediocre. When PlayStation gets involved somewhere, you get results. And it's the lack of results and then the reliability, the lack of results at Xbox and the reliability at PlayStation that made me do a complete 180 as far as my faith in the Xbox content or product as far as genre defining games are concerned, and flip that over to PlayStation. Do I want them to be more open? Yes, I would. But here's the problem. They are not as open due to the failures of Xbox. Xbox talks all this lofty expectations. I don't need to sell you a console and all this stuff, like their cloud efforts are going to blow your mind. And then when you get them in the hand, like people did after they upgraded to the Xbox Series X server blades, everybody goes, pah! Because they never land and they never execute properly on anything technologically proposed. The only thing of gravity that I give them credit for is, again, the latency in their controllers. Nothing else technologically lands where it needs to land. That's a major pillar in the whole gaming ecosystem. Some people say, quick resume. No, stop it. Stop. And so now it creates a dynamic. I was having an interesting conversation with some people on Twitter, And I agreed with them on one point, but I disagreed with them on their overarching point. Hold on one second. So where I agree with them was I put out a tweet the other day, surprised and excited that the Project Q or the PlayStation Portal, you can play that via remote access out of network, meaning you don't have to be attached to the same Wi-Fi connection that the PlayStation has to be, that the PlayStation is. In a way, remote desktop works versus cloud is remote desktop uses your PlayStation 5 as the ping point of, as far as playing the game. You're playing the game off of the PlayStation 5. You're just not there. So you're playing it, in the end results and the input and everything is being sent to you wherever you're at. You just need to be connected to a static Wi-Fi connection. And then with my experience with PlayStation Remote in the past, when I was in a singular spot and I was just playing PlayStation Remote, and I didn't realize that this was going to transfer to this device as well. Oh, no. I'm lying. I didn't realize that PlayStation Remote was now out of network. My in-network experience with PlayStation Remote was always great. I've been dealing with PlayStation Remote for years. I got a PS Vita solely for that purpose. I got the Vita. The Vita was 200 when I got it. It was either 149 or 200. And I didn't get the Vita for any native games. I got the Vita solely for PlayStation Remote for the PS4. And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. As the new consoles were coming out, I traded it in. I traded that in with my Xbox One X to go towards my PlayStation 5 purchase. So, yeah, it's just the screen. And my only issues were the screen wasn't big enough. I want to, if I'm playing those games at home, because I was just playing it around the house. If I'm sitting at home, now it's different if I'm in a car. I'll settle for like a phone size screen. But if I'm at home, I want something bigger. In comes the PlayStation Portal. Where now with the PlayStation Portal, not only can I play it at home, but the biggest draw is, let's just say I'm at work on lunch. If I'm connected to Wi-Fi, as long as my Wi-Fi connection is pretty good, I can play there, or I can go to a coffee shop for lunch and play at the you know what I'm saying? I can do that. Now that changes a lot of stuff, and that makes the experience worthwhile to me. When I said that, somebody had responded and said, no, it still sucks or whatever. And other content creators chimed in, and they were like, no, PlayStation PS Remote is dope. Very responsive, and that's my experience with it. Now, I don't have any experience out of network with it, but these people claim that they do have it, and they said that it worked fine. So when they said that, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I kind of expected that, because PlayStation, unlike Xbox, they don't push something that's like an alpha, that's in an alpha state, and they try to sell it to you retail. Like, they might do a beta that's a legitimate beta. It works thoroughly to a degree of something that's in a beta, and then that's right before they're ready to launch it. That's the PlayStation always works like. There's always like a quality narrative with them that you just don't get out of Xbox. Everything with Xbox is experimental, and you don't know where it's going to land. So it didn't really surprise me that PlayStation Remote was now out of network as well, and it worked so well according to their accounts. But they tried to go a little bit further, and they said that, well, this diminishes the whole need for cloud. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Because cloud is way diverse. Like, it's cool and all to ping from my PlayStation, but then now you're using my access point similar to a cloud server. And who's to say that if my bandwidth isn't being sucked up, well, if it's a wired connection, you don't have to worry about that. Is my PlayStation 5 wireless? If you're doing that, you're going to want to make sure that your PlayStation 5 is wired. There's no point in doing it wireless, because what happens is when you have a wireless connection, your wireless connection is sharing bandwidth with other wireless devices on your router. When it's wired, it always has its own static breathing room of bandwidth, regardless of how many other devices are connected wired as well. So it's always better to go wired, especially if you're doing that. So even though that's the case, I don't know how my connection could be. It's more likely that my individual connection is going to be spotty, more so than the server connection, right? Also, there's the whole power consumption narrative. Now, these server blades do burn up a lot of power consumption, these cloud server blades. But I can attest to you that me personally leaving my devices on sleep mode, I remember before, when I would have my devices on sleep mode, my electric bill was like, maybe $90 something, right? When I put my stuff on save mode, my bill went from $90 to like $140. So that's like $50. And I had save mode on Xbox and I had save mode on PlayStation. So a singular device can lead to an additional $25 a month. Yeah, I mean, so where people be like, oh, you know what? I don't need the cloud because I can save on subscribing to a cloud service. Well, yeah, you can, but you're going to be making it up elsewhere. You're going to be making it up in your electric bill. That stuff is not cheap. So I think that cloud gaming is more diverse. Not only does it save, the consumption, but then because of all the AI and machine learning that's involved, the capabilities are a lot more severe. Like, you're not getting 4K. I don't think you are. I don't think you're getting 4K out of network with PlayStation Remote. I don't think you are. You're going to get it with GeForce Now. You're going to get it with the PlayStation Cloud. You're going to get it with other things. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to play smoother because there's the whole codecs out of the server tower and just a whole litany of things, of technology that goes behind that cloud streaming that is just going to make it capable. And then, like PlayStation, the cloud, again, is frictionless as far as downloads and storage. My remote access thing, I gotta make sure that the game is downloaded to my hardware first. What if there's a game that I see that I want to play, but then I got to make sure it's done, so then I got to go remote in, delete stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not a seamless, frictionless cloud experience. So I think cloud potentially has a lot more capabilities with remote access. Not saying that remote access is no good, and not even saying that you really got to compare the two. I think remote access is more of an extension of of your console experience, where cloud gaming is its own platform. And I think Phil Spencer got it wrong in talking about cloud gaming. Cloud gaming can operate as its own platform, where remote play is an extension of your desktop. I mean, is an extension of your console. So even though I prefer cloud gaming, I can appreciate remote gaming, because the pros for remote gaming versus cloud gaming is, for the most part, cloud gaming is associated to subscription services. Like even with PlayStation Cloud, they're associated to subscription services. Not even Xbox, the darling, as far as being open, they don't let you play a la carte purchases on the cloud. And neither does PlayStation at the moment. So if I wanted to play Final Fantasy 16 in the cloud, I can't do it, because it's part of the cloud is an extension of the subscription service. And that's where I think PlayStation Remote is helpful, because it works as an extension of your PlayStation. You ain't got to go through all those particulars of a la carte purchases versus subscription games and all that other stuff. You can access whatever you can download onto your PlayStation. You can play it. That to me is the benefit of remote play, versus the cons of not having that option in cloud gaming. So they both have their pros and cons. At the end of the day, I think the champion is still cloud gaming. I mean, cloud gaming is just potentially has so much more headroom than remote gaming. But remote gaming is cool. It's fine. It's the fine little cousin. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. And I don't think pitting them two options against each other really make much sense to me. So as I can appreciate what PlayStation Remote can do, or what it can't do on either side, because I've seen arguments on both sides. I personally don't see the purpose of pitting them against each other. I see where you might want to show the contrasts, but even when I did my evaluations years ago, when I was doing PlayStation Remote versus the Xbox, their console streaming versus Xbox console streaming, and PlayStation Remote came on top. I didn't compare the PlayStation Remote to xCloud, you know what I'm saying, or even Steam's remote access. I didn't compare, you know what I mean? I didn't compare that to GFN. Like they're different products. And I look at hardware streaming as an option, or as that's truly an extension. So I don't think there's a necessity to compare the two. They're just, they're looking to serve two different needs. So, all right, let's continue on. He says they're 10% behind the Xbox One. Xbox is the biggest L you can get. Yeah, that's not good. What is probably the most effed up thing about Starfield is that the Earth is just a barren desert. Saw leaked pictures of it, as lazy as it gets. Yeah, I mean, I think trying to flesh out the Earth would have been a daunting task, being based upon how densely populated the real Earth is. Even if you were to do an Earth that was scaled down and, diminished, the level of detail that you would have had to put in Earth, it's apparent they're not looking to do that. They were not looking to do that in this game. So you're going to be scampering a lot of desert, moon rocky, and or jungle type places with little hubs of one little station here or one little station there. For the most part, you're not going to get the dense population. You know what I mean? I think it looks like what Bethesda was moving for was something very similar to Mass Effect, but at a bigger scale. Like even Earth on Mass Effect 3. You know, you saw the backdrop and the dense population and it being ravaged and war torn and stuff like that, but they only gave you a vertical slice to access there on Earth. Everything else was like, you know, big rocks or deserts, semi-jungles, where you're just going through terrain, you're journeying, you might run into a creature, and then you know, miles and miles in your journey, you'll run into a building here and there. That's what it appears like to me. There may be some story-based planets that will be more densely populated, that'll resemble Fallout games as far as density is concerned. But it sounds like for the most part, you are just going to run into open land with creatures that come here and there, and some minerals you can, you know, and I don't know how satisfying that gets, particularly at launch. I can see modders adding to planets, you know, down the road. I could see 2 years down the road this game being crazy sick on PC because of all the effort and stuff that people are doing to planets and adding things to planets and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see Starfield being crazy sick on PC, having a very sound, robust, but to a degree niche gaming community. Kind of like ESO. Like ESO, I think has 15 million players? And that's nothing to sneeze at. But you're not getting... But ESO is under the radar. You're not talking to a very large chunk of the gaming populace. It's 15 million players. A lot of players, but that's a select number of gamers. And I think that within that 15 million that you see on ESO, I think that is the same ilk that could be equally, potentially, if a slightly more, as interested in Starfield. So, yeah, this looks like a very large Fallout in space, which I'm not saying is a bad thing or stellar thing. Fallout is a solid game. When done right, it's a stellar game. And you're talking about bare minimum 8 game. I know Fallout 76, but there was a lot behind that. The Fallout 76 is the outlier. Fallout games, you know, are very stable, sound 8 or higher. Does that make it the game of the generation? No. In some people's eyes it will be, but will the general consensus make it that way? For the most part, no. But we don't know until we see. So my thought process when it comes to Starfield is that you should respect the NDAs. Each of the sides that are arguing, oh man, y'all keep dogpiling on Starfield, or oh man, y'all keep making excuses. Both sides are silly when it comes to these leaks, because they want to tell you one way or the other that the game is either great and excellent or it's horrible, and they haven't played it. I think at best what the leaks tell you is that this is Fallout in space. The positives of that is Fallout generally is a 8 or higher Metacritic game, which is a great game. The negatives of it is that it was so overhyped that people were telling you these are 10s. And I'm not seeing 10s. I'm not going to go as far as to say I don't see a good game. I don't know that until I play it. But I'm not seeing 10 activity. I don't see anything that was, you know what I'm saying, that was put in the game that makes you say, oh, that's a 10. I see Fallout in space, which again is a very sound and solid game and great on many levels when done right. So it all depends on how right they've done it. My theory is, you know, maybe if they don't do their job, you might see something in the low 8s. If they do their job, you could see something in the low 9s. If they check every bell and whistle, that as far as the potential of this game, you could see something in the low 9s or the low 90s. The low 90s at best, in my opinion, the low 80s at worst, in my opinion. So people that are mad that people are reacting to the video, I'm not mad at people reacting to the video because I reacted to it. I said, oh, well, at least now I can, you know, like rest my expectations, because Sarah Bond and everybody was telling me this is the most important RPG ever. And I'm not seeing that. So if I don't get that, because Sarah Bond and them weren't being responsible in describing this game, possibly. So because they weren't, I won't be disappointed if I don't feel it's the most important RPG ever, but I still think it's a great experience. That's okay. So that's how the leak has helped me. Now, it may have helped other people in saying, oh man, I was hearing so much negative stuff about this, that this won't even be a good Fallout experience. And then you see it and you're like, hold on, this looks like Fallout in space. I think the concept is dope. I love Fallout. Oh, I'm confident now. Now I know I'm going to buy this because this checks the boxes as far as my eye test, as far as the things that it's going to include that I'm familiar with. See, it can work both ways. For some people, you know, with both ways being a little bit more dramatic based upon your authentic take on the game. But trying to determine exactly what this game is off of this small vertical slice here, and that, to me, that's silly. You can't, excuse me, you can't do that. A Bethesda game like this, you have to play. Most capping for Starfield, he said he gets paid. PlayStation Portal is trash. Nah, I don't think so. If I'm at work, this is, again, it's a niche product. I listened to Games Over Greggy when he went out there and talked to the execs at PlayStation. He said they recognize that this is a product that's going to be niche, but they feel like it's a product that, even though it's going to be niche, could bring them some success. Is that okay? Say I'm at lunch and I want to play video games. What I used to do, cold blood, is I would pull out my phone and play some games via the cloud, right? And get suboptimal experience. And maybe the games that I was playing really weren't the games that I wanted to play at suboptimal experience, because If I'm playing it via subscription service, or you know how cloud platforms don't always have the games that you want to play. You know what I mean? But I'm limited because I'm playing it from my phone. Now in walks PlayStation Portal. And I can, again, if I'm making the argument that these are the best genre defining games are coming from PlayStation, why wouldn't I want to play those instead at lunch? So I pull out my PlayStation Portal, I connect to it remotely, and I'm playing God of War, Ragnarok, Final Fantasy 16. I'm playing Spider-Man potentially. I'm playing those games on the go at lunch, or if I'm in a hotel off the Wi-Fi. You can't beat that with a stick. Without me risking lugging around my PlayStation 5 and potentially breaking it. Or if I'm flying, the PlayStation 5 getting lost in my luggage. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't. It's not trash. It's just not for everybody, because everybody doesn't want to play games when they're away from their desktop. I mean, when they're away from their console. Some people just completely shut it down when they're away. Some of us like to game on. I'm one of those people that like to game on. I'm one of those people to where if I'm, working, if I'm not working from home, if I'm working on site, I'm whipping out my phone and I'm playing some games through my lunch. I know a lot of people like that. There was a bunch of us that when I would go on work break, when I worked in the office, we would sit there and, one lady, Mary, would whip out her Wii. My homie Mike would whip out his GFN. I'd pull out Stadia. Everybody, and there was like a group of us. Like, I hung with the IT people, even though at this time, before I started working from home, I wasn't part of IT anymore. But those were my homies. I was doing special projects. I no longer had an IT team reporting to me, but those was my homies. And so we'd all be sitting there doing lunch outside of, work, playing our games and chit-chatting and cutting up. That's, that there's a specific group that'll do that, but there is a group that would love to play their PlayStation games. I don't want to necessarily say on the go, but away from their console. Because on the go pretty much means you do what I'm doing. I'm on GFN and I can play off my cell reception. Long as I got 5G on. You know what I mean? No, if you're like sitting in a hotel lobby chilling, you know what I mean? Or sitting in a park for your lunch break, or you're in a static place, you're sitting in a coffee shop, you're sitting in Starbucks, or something like that, why not whip out your... I imagine you will see a fair amount of people whip out their PlayStation portals, connect to their PlayStation 5, and play it. He said, Earth should have been one planet they handcrafted to the max. Yeah, but it's Bethesda, man. It's Bethesda. Bethesda is great at creating games where traversal because of the loot that you can get is fun. They are stellar at creating a dynamic where in the open space you can run into danger that can take you. You don't know where you're running into. You can run into a death claw. Like if you're on Fallout, you can run into a death claw, whatever. So here's how Fallout works. Wherever you're at, you want to go somewhere else. You want to go from point A to point A to point Z is where you're looking to go. But along your way to point A, You run into a certain amount of creatures, all this other stuff. You're like, oh, cool. I'm looting these creatures or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you find a cluster of them and you take them out. And then you get some, you realize you get some cool stuff from them, right? So you might grind that area for a little bit. So you continue on to point Z, but then a couple of miles ahead, you run into point B, which is a cave. And you're like, oh man, I just fought these clusters of mud crabs. So let me go into point B. I might get some better stuff here. So then you go into the cave, and the level design of the cave is intriguing. It's fun. You're running into a bunch of stuff. You finally get through to the end of the cave. And then you're finding pockets within the cave, and there's little secret pockets that, you know, you can access stuff. And because of your skill traits, you get to unlock certain cases, or you don't get to unlock it. So now you got to remember to come back. You know what I'm saying? And you clear out the cave, and then you go out. So then you're like, wow, okay, that was dope. But then while you were in point B, you then found this note or this part of the map that opened up for you that tells you about point C, where you can get the laser iffle diffle cannon. So now you're going to point C. And at point C, there's another traversal of a cluster of enemies that you're fighting or whatever, and you grind that out. That's the ebb and flow of the Bethesda Softworks games. And in hearing that, people may say, well, that doesn't sound tantalizing to me because it doesn't have any direction. So I don't like it. And yeah, that's fine. There's people like Z, I imagine Cold Blood. Y'all don't like those because there's no direction there. It's like they leave it up to you to journey the game, and there's really no direction. There's no guardrails, right? Where someone like me that loves the loot aspect of games, that loves to search games and have fun with them and fighting, you know, and potentially getting this part of my gun that's gonna make my gun even better, and you know, I like stuff like that. So if I like stuff like that, I don't need a densely populated area, because it's all about my discovery. No, yes, the gunplay and the enemy interaction, it has to be intriguing, challenging, all that stuff. Level design, when I do find those caves, or I find that one desolate building that looks kind of strange and wide, and oh, there might be some cool stuff in here, right? I'm pretty sure, man, look at this structure. That's how those games work. It's barren land with enemies and grinding that's peppered with tantalizing and intriguing structures or caves that you go try to conquer and get all the loot out of it. That's the ebb and flow. That's the gameplay loop with the Bethesda Softworks games. And again, some people hear that and they say that there's no direction in that. I don't like that, which is understandable. You like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. But then there's other people like me that do like it. And because of that dynamic, that's why I say overselling or overhyping this game as the best game ever. You're going to have to appeal. This game has to be so great in its interaction that the people that normally turn their nose to Bethesda Softworks games because they felt like there wasn't any guardrails, it was just a free-for-all, those type of gamers now have to be attracted because now you have guardrails on here. And it doesn't sound like that is happening. The reason why Skyrim broke the mold, and the reason why Fallout 4 kind of was a breakout success for the Fallout series, Skyrim did not just rely on that play loop. Skyrim was the true science fiction fantasy game where it was about the character development. Has always been cool in the Fallout games and stuff like that, or the Bethesda Softworks games, but Skyrim had more of a focus on the character development. That skill tree was intense because you didn't want to waste points and all the other stuff, and you could end up making the wrong character and got to start all over again. Like Skyrim was intense in that, and it was more densely populated, as was talking about, because there are actual villages and things like that are going on. There's a lot more going on, it felt like, in Skyrim and then in your atypical even Fallout game. Fallout is bigger. Fallout 4 is bigger. I think Fallout 76 was bigger, but you had a lot more life, a lot more robust stuff, and there was a lot more guardrails, it seemed like. But just a lot of choices embedded within guardrails with Skyrim. Skyrim operated differently to a degree than the atypical Bethesda Softworks game. Not entirely, just to a degree, to where it felt like there was more plausible guardrails and understanding what to do, and not just leaving it to you to just explore going on there. You had a home. I mean, you have a home everywhere, but you had a home that you had to manage, and what sector you was part in, or which type of night, and it was just more. It was more like a crossover type game, just off of what was in it, than a particular Bethesda Softworks game. I don't see that in this, which not necessarily isn't a bad thing. Doesn't mean there won't be success. I just don't see it. And doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. That's why I said you don't truly know what's in this game till you play it. But I don't see that. And that potentially could be just because I wasn't exposed to it, which I'm fine with. But if it isn't simply not there, that crossover appeal, it's not bad, except Xbox and the Zealot community told you it's there. And most of the people in the Zealot community that are telling you that it's there have not played the game and don't know. All they know is Xbox, Xbox, Xbox. And then we got Xbox on the side who just don't have a good track record. So now you put Starfield in a position where it has to be stellar across the board. And it might be. Maybe all the, maybe we just got vertical slices that just didn't show the game well. Maybe it's just that coincidence that's what we got. But if that isn't the case, that's a failure. Not of Bethesda, but of Xbox. And then them not reeling in their zealots. We'll see. We'll see if it lives up to that hype, but I don't think it's fair. It's unfair that it has to, but that's the dynamic that has been set in the community and Xbox attributed to it. That's not fair to Bethesda. I can't even play the daggone thing at work. We don't have Wi-Fi that's accessible for. That's what I'm saying. So it's not going to be good for you. But imagine how many gamers are like that do have access to Wi-Fi. So the PlayStation Portal is not going to do you any good. Like when I thought it was just an in-network device, opposite of like jailbreaking it and trying some stuff that way, it appealed to me none. But then when I found out that you could access it out of network, I was like, oh yeah, I can see myself picking that up. He says, no, I have 800 hours in Skyrim, bruh. I love those kind of games. Just want it to be more next gen. Coldblood says he is a fool. He hates everything that's not Gears or Fable. Yeah, so that's the spiel on what's going on with Starfield. It's just getting an unfair shake, man. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about, is it Circana? I think that's their name. Hold on, where's I gotta find my profile. Are they called Shakana? What are they called? Now I gotta find. Oh, here we go. All right, so we have a new situation where, oh God, this is why, again, y'all may call me a hater, but I've been imploring Xbox to just be transparent. Stop talking like y'all in the game against Sony. You got to tell your gamers, look, man, we're going to bring you. You ain't even got to bring up Sony. Here's what you do. Look, gamers, it's a new era for Xbox, a new exciting turn. I wouldn't use the word turn. New exciting turn for us to where I think we're delivering more for our gamers than what they're used to. We're giving you more places to play, more types of games to play, more of our games more often, right? That's your more. That's your argument for your more. And you say, we want to bring you a plethora of games, from the next genre-defining title, like I guess you could throw Starfield in there. The next genre-defining title, like Starfield, to charming, AA critically acclaimed offerings such as Hi-Fi Rush. That, you know what I'm saying? That's what I would use and say we're still working, and we still work with our partners to bring you great games. Like, what is that? Sea of something that came out today. I know it's in PlayStation Plus as well, but Sea of, we're going to still bring you some of the best games from our partners, like, Sea of something and MLB the show. New era for Xbox. More of the best collectively that gaming has to offer at a more affordable price. Check out Game Pass, $16.99 a month, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The new Xbox. That's what I would do, and it's very clear. And then talk with your PR teams to where people say, "Well, are you going to, outdo Sony?" Like, no, look, man, we're still going to pursue AAA genre-defining games, and they're going to be part of our catalog. Sony has said, you know what, they want to do 4 every quarter. 4 a year. Great for them. Wish them the best of luck. We just feel like that we can add more value and add more boom to our gamers by giving them a plethora of ways to play, including genre-defining games. You know what I mean? And therefore, in order for us to do that, you're going to see the array of games that we have to offer from our first-party studios. You're going to get 4 every year. Or all 4 going to be AAA. Again, we're giving you an array of games that we feel like will add more to the plate of our gaming populace. We're giving them more than what they ever, you know what I'm saying? You can just, there's nothing wrong with using buzzwords as long as you're not deceiving people. And you're not deceiving people by telling them we're giving you more. And what is more? More games at an affordable price, more genres in your hands. You know what I'm saying? When you use more in that context and you're transparent, there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not competing against PlayStation when it comes to top-notch games. You're simply not. Even though gamers want that when it comes to the console field. And even though that's the most successful track right now is genre-defining gaming. But if you feel like you can reach 3 billion gamers faster than them, you can do it even if your lineup isn't as impactful as theirs, but your tech has to be right. And that's where Microsoft has fallen short. It's okay if you can't compete with PlayStation pound for pound in game impact. You're looking for outreach, but your tech sucks. Your technology is trash, son. You can't be trash at both. That's where Microsoft is messing up. Get that tech together. Y'all, instead of wasting all this money to buy Activision Blizzard. I am doubling down on the gazillion studios that I have right now, including, but you got Ed Software, Machinera, you got all these. Come on. I'm using that money for them, because them alone can really beefing up your exclusive effort on the AAA side, even if those AAA games aren't as big as PlayStation's. You with all Bethesda studios, you can whip them out. You can whip out very good experiences more often. Okay, Sony is putting out 90 plus rated AAA games. Yours is in the mid to low 80s, but they're only doing one every 3 years, or they're coming out with, or I'll put it like this: they're coming out with one every year or two, and you can drop 3 with Bethesda every year. That's a value proposition. So what am I doing? I'm not spending the $75 billion on Activision Blizzard. I am using that money to build up my cloud infrastructure for it to be on par with my peers, and I'm using the money in research, development of these studios, giving them more resource, strengthening up these studios so they can assimilate better with my technology. You got enough with Bethesda there. Then you got the initiative. You got all these AAAs. Come on, man. What are we doing? So even if your games don't land as deep as PlayStation, you can put more of them out. And it's not like every PlayStation game is a 90 plus game. Not their first party games. That's what I'm using that $70 billion for. I'm reinvesting in my technology to make it better. I am giving more resources to my development teams so they can do better. And whatever I got left to fill in the gaps until we get all this stuff running on all fours, then I'm buying individual IP. I'm not buying studios, I'm buying individual IP. That's what I'm doing. Because like I always say, this whole Activision Blizzard thing, even if you do buy them, I'm just thinking long term. We got Nicki Minaj as a playable character. Like, that's a desperate reach. It sounds like that you might be seeing the beginning of the end. I mean, we might be at the very, very, very beginning, but you might be at the beginning of the end of Call of Duty's dominance. And if that is the case, that $75 billion purchase will be a bust. And what Jim Ryan said via the court documents will be true. Because this is all riding on Call of Duty. That's the only thing that makes this worth that much. Is called, you're not doing this because of WoW. You're not doing this because even because of WoW. As big as that is, you're not doing it because of WoW. You're not doing it because of Overwatch. You're not doing this because of Diablo. This is all based upon Call of Duty and Call of Duty Mobile. And if Call of Duty loses its dominance, then this is a $75 billion bust. So why not take that money and reinvest it in already proven studios? You got them, like for crying out loud, Avowed should not look the way that it looks. Hire more people for Avowed. Hire more people for Obsidian, where they can each year or every other year get them to a point to where they're putting out a AAA and a AA every year, a sound AA game every year. Maybe they're putting out a AA game every year, and then every 3 years they're putting out a sound AAA game. And then you get them on with Bethesda, you got so many studios within Bethesda, you can legitimately get like a AAA from them every other year. Right? So then you got them on a cadence. Then there's the Initiative and all these other, and the Coalition and all these other, like legitimately, you could have a badass AAA coming out of Microsoft, opposite of Forza, every year with a a AA that's making groundswell on the realm of the outer planet or whatever that was from Oblivion. Or something on the level of the Outer Worlds. Something on the level of Outer Worlds or Hi-Fi Rush. You know what I'm saying? You should have one of those a year. A big AAA action title every year. And I think you could do that in more of a cadence than PlayStation can. PlayStation is going to rely a lot on second and third party deals, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as the games are great, who cares? But you can control your own destiny and deal with the fact that there's going to be a lot of AAA developers that are not going to want to come to your ecosystem because of how you've done things with dealing with the Series S or whatever. Okay, no sweat. We got enough of our own studios that we reinvested in. They are whipping out more content so that we're bringing our own value to our platform. Yeah, I would have done it differently. Totally would have done it differently. But it is what it is. So I'm going to show you guys this. This is via an article that GameIndustry.biz did based upon data from Circana, I believe that it is. As of 36 months out from launch, in the United States, the PlayStation 5 is tracking 5% higher in volume as far as saturation is over the PlayStation 4. That's sick. That's sick. The PlayStation, and it's 87% over the PlayStation 3. The Xbox Series is actually 10% lower than the Xbox One. And I get it. You have Game Pass with xCloud, but you've already said that you're losing money on that, and that's not a success. And now you're trying to back away from that. And then I get you got PC. You know, you're growing in PC. But is your PC growth supplementing your loss in ground on console? I don't think so. See, when people say, well, Xbox, they're not worried about console because they are everywhere. Being everywhere isn't good enough. If a standard is being set in one place that you're in and you're not up to that standard, then the other places that you're in have to fill in that gap. So when the other places that you're in don't fill up that gap and you're underperforming in your biggest area, which for Xbox right now, their biggest area is console, period. That's their core demographic. When you are failing in your core demographic, but PC and console is not elevating you and filling in those gaps where you're losing out on console, it doesn't matter that you're everywhere. So it's not good that they're losing ground to the Xbox One, which was considered a failure. Because they're not making it up elsewhere. Well, they're everywhere. So is PlayStation. Well, they're everywhere day and date. Okay, so show me the numbers where the 10% losses that they're having for not having those consoles where they used to be. Show me where they're making it up on PC. Show me. Because I'm looking at the numbers, and like in 2018, where they made 16 billion, this past fiscal year, they didn't even make 16 billion. You understand that, right? In 2018, where they made 16.2 billion, Xbox did. Let's look it up. How much revenue did Xbox have in 2018? Let's see here. All right, so we got a scale here. I can't find, okay, let me see here. Microsoft gaming revenue. Was that fiscal year? Let's look at it. Fiscal year 2018. Oh man, I'm not paying for no damn access. Was it fiscal year? Having fiscal year. I know I had this somewhere. July 19th. Let's take a look at this. 39. For the quarter. Revenue. Hold on. Where is? I don't want Microsoft. I want Xbox. Where is Xbox? Can't find it. Damn it. What? I think, I didn't bookmark it. Shoot. Was it fiscal year 20? It might have been fiscal 2019. Okay. No, Xbox revenue. Let me see. Microsoft closes. That's Ars Technica. What about Xbox? Come on. Show me Xbox. Damn it. Where is Xbox? Show me Xbox. We're going to find it, y'all. Come on, man. What is going on? Jesus Christ. Close that. Close that. You can't handle the truth. They don't want me to discover the truth. All right. Gaming revenue. Just show the numbers, man. Oh my God, these people are horrible. I wish I still had that one where I think like PlayStation made 20. Microsoft revenue. I don't want my Xbox C's. Oh God. Maybe it's Yahoo Finance. We'll put it in perspective. Oh my God. Nobody wants to just put the raw number out here. We're gonna find it. Microsoft. This is fiscal year. How much revenue did Xbox? Let me put Xbox revenue. Jesus Christ. This is why I hate Google. Google search is horrible. Xbox revenue fiscal year, because their results are based upon popularity. If you're looking for raw defined numbers, you're not going to get those results that have that. You're going to get the results based on popularity of a page, or you know what I'm saying. And I'm trying to pull it. Let me see. I don't want 2022. What is going on? And the pages that would show me the fiscal year end results for Xbox, they weren't popular outside of the gaming community. So I don't get these results. Let me see here. Did I bookmark anything? So crazy. This is why I am so, one thing that I am proud that Microsoft is doing over Google is I'm proud of their partnership with ChatGPT, and I'm proud that they are curb stomping Google, or potentially scaring the pants out of Google with that partnership, because Google just has to get better. They have to. The way the search results work now is horrible. All right, so did I bookmark it possibly? That infamous 2018. Did I log it down somewhere? No, I did not. I only have console sales. Let me see. Entertainment. I gotta find it. Gaming research. It says Sony stock soar. Revenue. Why do I have? Hold on. Okay. 2021 revenue. Oh, I should look on Twitter. That's where I need to go. All right, so if I look at 2019, yeah, so okay. But 2019, but it's still, they readjusted this. Okay, I see what they did. They readjusted it. 2018. Dang, nabbit. I gotta find that. I gotta find that article nonetheless. I hate when that happens, because I'm like, yeah, so let's pull up this article from back at that time, and then forgetting how tragic Google is and presenting Google searches are now. I never end up finding the article. But the platform is now backtracking. It's not making up that revenue that it's lost. That's not good. So in particular, in 2021, definitively, they had 16 billion in revenue. So I don't know if that's revenue in the black, or they say I think now they're going off of operating revenue. Okay, so in 2016, the operating revenue, which I believe is revenue in the black, is like around 16 billion, right? Okay. So now they've fallen back 2 years later. Fiscal year 2021, it was like over 16 billion. You fast forward to fiscal year 2023, now they're making less. They're in more. Game Pass is higher now than it was in 2021, isn't it? They have more consoles now than in 2021, haven't they? They have more PC accounts now than they do in 2021, do they? Don't they? So why is it going down if the argument that's being made by a lot of people with a zealot mind state, well, they're everywhere. Why is it going down? Because they're not everywhere effectively. And that's why I think the $60 billion or $75 billion investment in Activision Blizzard, it may be tantalizing for the Twitter streets, but it's not helping their business strategy. That money, Satya should have wrote that check simply to upgrade their technology, their cloud technology, reinforce the tool sets and the resources that the studios that they already have access to, and then use the remaining portion of that, maybe like $5 billion, to go get IP, to pepper, to take that $5 billion and get like 4 or more IP that was oncoming and buy it buy the IP for Xbox to hold them over until their studios are running on all 4 cylinders. And I feel like if you buy like 4 or 5 IP and pepper them over the next 3 to 4 years, in the next 3 to 4 years, with all that investment that you made in your studios and your tech, along with you now giving them space and breathing room with these second party high quality AAA games, when you come out of that 4th year, you're murdering the game. You spent your money wisely. And now the fact that you are everywhere means something. Now you're filling in the gaps. Now you're not making X dollars 2 years from now, but even though you have more accounts and more MAUs, you're making less money this year. That's not going to fly in the market. Microsoft put these litmuses out here and said, we're now going to start reporting users. Sony is now doing the same thing. We're not going to tell we're going to start reporting more and more on users and less on dollars individually. That only works if your increased users equate to more money. If you could show more money overall, then yeah, you could show the individual pockets of users here and there. Then that works in the market. But having more users and declining in money doesn't work. When Satya gets out there and says, yeah, we have record setting this and users here and that doesn't make the companies feel good about your product line, or doesn't make the market feel good about your product line when you have more users that you're trying to sell us, but you're bringing in less money. You can't use record-breaking users and think that overshadows less money. Because then that's telling the market that even though you're getting users here in these other spaces, it means nothing. That the market maybe isn't viable enough in those different pockets. It means nothing right now. Or it may not really mean nothing ever. Like the growth in the PC region probably just isn't, the potential isn't high enough for you to fill up and say, well, we don't need to sell a bunch of consoles. Where when people see PlayStation selling a bunch of consoles, they are used to more consoles, definitively meaning more money. You can't create these new litmuses, users and MAUs and all this other stuff in gaming, but show less money. Because PlayStation has the better rap sheet. All they got to do is show you consoles, and you ain't even looking at the money all like that. Is it more? It's growth. Oh, okay. Because more consoles, it makes it more digestible for you and the investors that these people in the market are trying to convince to invest in XYZ. It makes it more digestible to them because all you got to do is say, look, you're selling more consoles. We're projected to sell more consoles. Oh, well, that's just going to be more money. But if I go to you and I'm like, well, I got so many MAUs and the expenditure of the cloud usage, still 75,000 downloads of Starfield last week, but that doesn't equate to more money, what does that mean? Microsoft has to get out of their own way. Like I said, yes, I'm being heavily critical of what they're doing right now. But again, the fact, look at what I highlighted on the screen. The fact that they're now 10% less than the Xbox One. You can't tell me in response, well, they're everywhere. They're making less money. How is being in more places positive, conducive and positive if you're making less money? So those places that you're growing in don't mean anything. It's like me and Cold Blood. We both have restaurants, right? And I'd say something like, you know what? I'm going to do something to where I'm going to take this high quality food that I was selling and I'm going to let Cold Blood still sell it at like $50 a plate. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give people an opportunity to just give me $50 a month for this food instead of $50 a plate. And my theory is I'm going to get so many people that are going to invest because that's going to be such a deal that I'm going to get more money in than I'm actually investing in to serve this food. I know these plates are expensive, but trust me, I'm going to get such an overlap of subscribers to my super expensive buffet that my consumers are going to heavily outweigh Cold Bloods, and I'm going to get an overlap in subscribers to this new meal plan that I'm going to make more money than Cold Blood. And let's just say Cold Blood, let's do the math because I don't want to sound like a complete idiot here. Okay, so Cold Blood says, you know what? I had 5 million customers last month. You multiply that by 50, you get $250 million. So Cold Blood made $250 million last month. But let's just say, I'm like, oh, you had 5 million customers? Well, guess what, Cold Blood? There were we served 30 million plates last month, right? I do something like that. I say I'm serving 30 million. I've served 30 million plates last month, right? And they're like, oh, okay. So you served 30 million plates. How much did you bring in? Well, I brought in 100 million. You know what I'm saying? So let's do the math. Let's do 100 million divided by 30 million. Okay, so then my unit per sale ratio is $3 a plate versus Cold Blood, who's has it at a static, understandable, and digestible $50 a plate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even having more people logging in or sitting down or having some obscure litmus, even having more people engaging than Cold Blood, I still don't make as much money as Cold Blood because of my business model. In order for my business model to work reasonably, if I'm only getting based off of those numbers, and I'm averaging those numbers, if I'm only getting like $3 off of every seat served, right? Because I'm not going off a plate. We served 30 plates. So if I'm only getting $3 off of every plate I served, then what I'm going to have to do is I have to sell at least 20 times as much as Cold Blood. So my ratio to plates served have to be 20 times as much as what Cold Blood is getting per plate. So if Cold Blood says I serve 5 million people, you multiply that by 20, I have to have 100 million plates served. You see how much higher, based off of the litmus that I've set, you see how much higher my activity has because of my subscription approach? In the normal world, basic, unit per cost activity means more money. Last month I served 40 people, or last month I served 4 million. This month I served 5 million. You're going to get more unless there's dynamics where food costs more or whatever. But generally you're going to get more. As long as the resources and stuff are around the same levels, you're going to get more. But when I create these obscure litmuses, 3 million plates served, 7,000 spoons washed, when I do that type of stuff, the gap between the normal unit per dollar sale or unit per currency sale or transaction has to be way higher when it comes to these crazy litmuses that I'm doing. So when y'all say they're in more places, and let's just say Cold Blood is he served 5 million people out of one restaurant. I have 4 restaurants. That's why I serve 30 million plates. But if my business model is not as lucrative as far as an investment is concerned, that is going to hurt me in the long end. 3 years ago, when Sachi and them started to transition how they were reporting these numbers, it was okay that if the dollars didn't necessarily match the growth because it was just beginning. This was just a new product. You are now 3 years in. Game Pass is everywhere. It's pretty much available everywhere. Game Pass ain't in beta no more. You got MLB, you got all types of games in there now. Game Pass is everywhere. It's a premier product. It's your premier product. So when you talk about record-breaking this or more consumer this, it has to result to more money. There has to be reasonable expense accrued and associated to that product that explains why there's less money. Oh, there's less money because the games that were in Game Pass this month, they cost us more to get them in Game Pass. This is not going to be normal, and we decided to take that hit and report it this month. All right. Okay, makes sense. And then if the trend goes back up, or not this month, this year, if all the games that were coming in Game Pass, we decided to take the hit and cover the costs of those fiscally this year. So Fable, that's already paid for. So all you're going to do is see net revenue. This one is already paid for. So Starfield, and plus we had Starfield that we took out this year. So every game that we're counting as far as their expense or the cost, we counted it this year. So the games for the next 2 years have already been, the budgets have already been allocated out of our expenses this year. Oh, that makes sense. But that's not what happened. What happened? Why did they make less money? Because outside of their premier service, they had less software sales and less console saturation, which again leads to less console sales. So because you're not growing in the atypical product line, you made less money. And your premier product line, Game Pass, did not supplement the losses there. Your business model is a bust. This is not about hate. This is not about anger. This is not about trying to be with the ponies. This is me, 25 plus year business pedigree for the top Fortune 500 company in our field, explaining to you why really the silver lining in your product and services is being overshadowed because you're trying to placate to a certain sector that you really don't, they're really not your focus anymore. You wasted so much money in investing in marketing for the Series S and how you just scaled up from the Xbox Series S to the X that on the front end you saw a lot of growth, but now on the back end is slowing down because you're not living up to those expectations. If instead of writing such large checks to acquire, I get Bethesda, I get that one. But if making sure that the console truly was a 1440p 60 machine, upping that RAM a little bit, even though it would have cost you, that's research and development. You take that initial hit and you sell those consoles, then you don't have these problems now. Or you just simply be transparent with the company and you start selling, with your consumers, and you start selling more. That's where Xbox messed up. This is their best foot forward. Now you look at PlayStation. We'll look at both of their best foot forwards. PlayStation needs to continue in investing in various AAA content a year, 3 to 4, and that whole they don't got no games because they're not first party. That's malarkey. What made Xbox a competitor was not their first party games. Halo, the biggest game in the world at the time, first party, wasn't enough on its own to do it. Microsoft had to partner with the best independent AAA developers and make games that, based off of their resources and the independent developers' development power, were the most compelling games of the generation. That was their claim to fame. So PlayStation, on the other hand, pursuing that, it doesn't matter to me it doesn't matter to gamers if it's first party or second party. That's Twitter fodder. And I'm not making this up just to supplement PlayStation. I feel like that the 360 over the last 3 or 4 generations is the best generation. And I recognize what made that the best generation. It was the second party and third party deals that made it the best generation. It was not the first party games. Even though Halo was the biggest game out, it was not Halo. that brought the 360 its success. It was the other games. Halo was the icing on the cake because it was such a big game for the OG Xbox. It gave it a reason to continue to live. So now that the 360 is more viable, yeah, it really made it a competitor. It made it the mainstay out there. However, it was never the first party development. PlayStation's first party development just happened to be so great in contrast to the zilch that you got from Microsoft. So you don't just need first party games. As long as you have exclusive content for your console, you're good to go. And that content has to be stellar. Not all of it, but the general consensus is y'all dropping stellar games routinely. Continue to do that, PlayStation. But what you need to fix, PlayStation, is you got to become more transparent about what's in your pipeline. Securing gamer anticipation and excitement is important. It's going to bite you in the long run. Let's just say if Microsoft is being coy about what they have and all of a sudden they drop a bomb on y'all and they're being strategic and they put something out, you put something out, they put something out, and if they've been building on their pipeline exhibiting and their mindshare game, you might be giving up an edge inadvertently. You should always be invested in mindshare. Now, I'm not saying, I particularly would like to see you at E3s and do more shows, but there has to be a more routine exhibit of what you're going to put out there in the pipeline. Xbox, I would continue to pursue the play anywhere type of approach to places outside of your ecosystem or outside of your own devices. I won't say ecosystem because that would be part of your ecosystem, but outside of your own devices and technology. Because the fact of the matter is, even though I'm saying this as a pro, your own devices and technology at the moment need some work. The console needs some work because of the bottleneck of the S. xCloud needs some work because of how it's set up. The Windows Store needs some work. So yes, continue to heavily pursue Steam, to pursue GFN, boost reward where else you can just put your games in. That is a great approach. The con, what you need to stop doing, is stop pursuing devices and stop promoting heavily devices and technology that fall short of expectation. That's going to hurt your GE initiative of being everywhere because you have to be reliable to the average consumer. I get that there's some of us nerds and zealots or whoever you want, or fans of the brand that are out there that like your conversation about tech and your expression about it, but your execution has to be there as well. You're actually hurting the case for gaming to have more multimedia functions, which I really adore and like. Again, that was the charm of the 360. You're making the argument against that. And honestly, I would prefer that the PlayStation Portal have cloud integration as well. I would like for it to be robust, but when you do all this more robust stuff as an Xbox and it doesn't land well and it fails miserably, you are inadvertently co-signing PlayStation's less openness when it comes to the tech stuff. When you really look at it, everything that you're pursuing, they're actually better at. They're going to get more capabilities in the cloud. They have VR. They now have a remote device too. That is soon. Look, that PlayStation Portal, as soon as the albatross of quote unquote cloud gaming is removed from the average gamer, that thing is going to open up. It's going to open up and become a cloud device too. But you inadvertently co-sign on PlayStation not unlocking the full potential yet because you are more excited about showcasing this technical, aspiration, and you fall short of it. So PlayStation just looks at you fall off the cliff like Wile E. Coyote and say, that's why we're only doing this. This is why we're not doing day and date. This is why we're not, doing this in the advertising like this in the cloud. This is not why they're not doing. You are actually making the case against technological revolutions, because as much as you press it, and you seem to be at the forefront of it, that's not a problem. That's actually, I prefer that. But what supersedes me preferring you do that is the fact that you fail at it. When you fail, every step that you take forward in announcing and showing that that's your aspiration, you take 5 steps back when it doesn't succeed. And when I say it doesn't succeed, I don't mean commercially. I mean, and simply just providing what you said it was going to provide. Now, even though it provides what you said it was going to provide, it may not be successful commercially, and that's okay. You might have to scrap it because of that. Go to the drawing board, extract good things out of it, try it again. That's fine. But you're not even exceeding in the execution, therefore making it seem like that what you talking about is not even possible. How can't Microsoft do it? Yeah, we ain't got as much money as them. This is PlayStation. We ain't got as much money to waste as them. Yeah, we ain't even trying it. Not yet. We're going to just chill on the side. That is the ebb and flow that you create. Stop being such failures. That's why I said invest in your teams. Make sure that they can execute better than what they have been. That's the problem. So the fact that you can look at that full Sakana details, you can go to them, check them out, and they'll give you everything there. All right, we're beyond the 2.5 hour mark. I was going to talk about future games, but I'm going to get to the rest of these comments, and then because I only wanted to do 2 hours because I want to, hold on, let me see something. I got a business meeting today, but it's pending when the meeting is. All right. I haven't heard anything. All right. So let's do this. Let's start to wrap this up. Let's go to the final questions. I'm in the wrong tab. It says, Cobla says, they're doing more with less, like Satya said. He says, can you explain why Starfield and Redfall run at 30 frames per second on the monster that eats monsters for breakfast? Yeah, that was, excuse my French, that was the dumb, well, no, I'm not going to swear. That was the dumb stuff. I find it hard to believe. Xbox has some of the best engineers out there. Not Xbox, Microsoft does. I find it hard to believe that Microsoft lending its best engineers to looking at the vision of what they wanted to do, that Microsoft, in talking to developers, didn't understand that the Series S was going to be a 1440p machine only for old games, that it was not going to do it. It was not going to be sustainable for newer games. I think they knew that. I think they miscalculated, though, two things: how soon it would become a bottleneck. I think that they didn't expect it to become a bottleneck for a couple years now. They didn't anticipate how soon it would become a bottleneck. And secondly, they didn't anticipate that their cloud experience wouldn't fly as much as they needed it to. Because you could see per the court documents, Phil Spencer expected, or he was very hopeful, that when the Xbox server blades would get upgraded, people would play Halo on it for xCloud, and then xCloud would slowly but surely start becoming more and more of a mainstream keepsake or a mainstream way of interacting with gaming, and they would have it in their portfolio more, because he was expecting the community to evangelize it. And that didn't happen. You could tell that was their expectations. Good friends of mine, who I love dearly, they got xCloud in their name. That's not by accident. That's clearly, as we look back, that's not by accident. The hope was that, okay, we understand this is going to be an albatross around the development in the future. However, if we could just hold off till like 2024, maybe 2025, it'll be okay. And then by the time we get to 2025, xCloud will be seen as a viable option. And then we can flip the switch and turn all those Series X's into stream boxes. Horrible strategy. Just horrible strategy. If you weren't 100% sure that the console could hold up for at least 7 years as the way that you promised, even if it was a 1080-60 machine, even if it was a 1080-60 machine that ran on medium settings, that's okay. But it can't even do that now. If it couldn't, at the bare minimum, for the first 7 years, go no lower than a 1080p native machine that ran on medium settings at 60 frames per second, if it couldn't supply that at best, in maybe a 1440p machine on medium settings at 30 frames per second, if you couldn't supply that at best for the first 7 years, then you failed. Because I don't know why you would think, like, all of the data that was there in the market says that, or suggests that cloud gaming isn't going to become 5% of the market until 2027, I believe. Now, maybe you can supersede that. Maybe not. Why wouldn't your buffer be 7 years? So you needed to add, what you needed to do was sit with developers and say, look, how can we make this platform a viable development option at least for 7 years? Then what we'll do is we'll allow you guys to switch over, develop for the Series X only, and then games will be streamed to the Series S. That's what they should, but they didn't. And that was done purposefully, because they miscalculated severely. And I'm going to tell you this, part of the reason why they miscalculated was probably because of Jason Ronald. They already went through Albert Pinella, which I don't know why they got rid of Albert Pinella. Here's what is not being taken seriously. And I know this was a running joke with Xbox gamers, including myself, last generation. But the cold hard truth is this. Despite Xbox's aspirations as far as pushing technology, the most technically sound, reliable, and quite honestly, smart talent is not there. It's Mark Cerny. Mark Cerny is single-handedly the reason why PlayStation has come back in the PlayStation 4 and why they're even dominating even more now at this moment that Xbox is 10% behind Xbox Series B. He is the sole reason that is happening. His choices with the PlayStation 4, his choices with the PlayStation 5, as far as what they wanted to do, what they were able to do tech-wise, brilliant. Not 100% perfect, but brilliant. They ran into problems because they were supposed to release a year earlier. They wanted to get a jump on Xbox. Now they don't even need to. And the only reason why they got the uptick to 10.2 teraflops was to service the teraflop need in name only. But he made sure that he designed the core system in a way that was that he said didn't really rely on I think he said compute units and other things that he considered were superficial. He did it his way. And so if you need better saturation with your core market, which is the console market, if you need better saturation with them to help springboard you to these other places, because you said it yourself, your xCloud experience and success was reliant on this core audience evangelizing the experience. In order for that to happen, the technology has to land right. You can't make comments, set expectations that seem lofty. And when you're going against the genius of Mark Cerny, you better make sure that you deliver on what you say you're delivering on. I think a lot of enthusiasts of the Xbox brand and a lot of people that marvel at the tech, they just simply don't understand that despite their own flag waving or whatever, or their attachment to XYZ or their detachment to Sony for ABC, it doesn't matter to the average consumer. I had to realize that when I was bewildered on why there are so many PlayStation 4s selling than Xbox. I said the increase in pixels is minimum. Xbox will have the better games. Perception is 9/10 of the law. And when you seem to fail at what you promise people, people start turning away from you. And Xbox seemed to be failing in talking to the hardcore gamer when they were doing this, what they consider TV. So the hardcore gamer was like, we're turning away from you because we're going to PlayStation, because now everything they've done is built for the gamer, not TV. And it's mathematically proven because now this company, Digital Foundry, is proven that their efforts are more focused on gamers than yours are. I still think that there was an opportunity to reverse that, but you had to land successes. and Microsoft hasn't landed a critical success since Phil Spencer took over. He hasn't landed nor sustained a critical success since Phil Spencer took over. People are going to say, well, what if Starfield's a 10 out of a 10? Then what he's basically done is he replaced Halo, which was already established, with Starfield. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a one-off. You're not adding. Hold on one second. Okay. So, yeah. So that's where we're currently at with PlayStation versus Xbox. I feel Xbox has a vibe, even amongst all these failures and over exaggerations and things that do. I think that there is a diamond in the rough. I truly do. But you don't expose that diamond unless you're more transparent. Stop trying to talk to genre-defining gamers. It's not your market anymore, and that's okay. And the reason why I brought this back up is because I didn't realize it until Gamescom, but Phil did something reprehensible to me. Like, his lying is bad. But the way, and shout out to Lano for pointing this out. I didn't even realize this was going on until I was like catching up with everything over the weekend. I was listening to Reforged Gaming. The reprehensible thing that kind of like made me go, damn, did I give them any credit too soon? Like every time I try to give Xbox credit and try to extract the positives, they do me in. Like I remember doing that with Z. Y'all remember, if y'all follow my content, y'all remember that. And I was like, Xbox is gonna kill it this E3. I know I've been negative. But I mean, their swagger, the things that they've been saying, just, you know, they're gonna kill it. And Z was like, you keep falling for the rhetoric. Stop it. No, Z, you understand? Why would they say this, man? They know they have a track record of saying certain things or over-exaggerating so many years. Why would they're going to kill it? And we're going to see some great stuff. And lo and behold, what happened? Every time I try to defend Xbox, I shoot myself in the foot. And I was close. I still defend what I said about the product and service having a silver lining and it being a diamond in the rough if they just be transparent with who they're really talking to now. But no, I can do that now. I can have that epiphany. I can actually promote that now in the content, but still smack my head and say, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? When Phil came out in Gamescom and said what he said about why they couldn't get split screen co-op on the Series S, I felt like as a gamer with a capital G, listening to someone that's supposed to be the example of all business execs, gamers, when I heard, I felt like such a disconnect there, more so than I've heard in a long time from Phil. It's been years since I've heard anything that reprehensible. And the thing was, the way he was phrasing his content or his response, he was making it seem like that there weren't any hardware issues with the S, and that it was a design choice, and the complicated design choice that they're trying to implement that doesn't necessarily show an issue with the S, but more or less something zany that they want to do, and they're in support of helping them get it on the platform. And they're okay. They understand that they want to add this zany implementation to their game, but they just got to comply with the parity clause, right? And all that was paraphrasing, but that's the main stuff to extrapolate from what he said. Only for less than 24 hours later, Sven came out and said, guess what? We are going to be coming at the end of this year, which is great for the Xbox gamer and Xbox gamers that had to suffer because of this silliness. But, oh yeah, and to double down about our silly little feature, it's going to be available on the Series X, but it's not going to be available on the Series S. And that was a shot right down the bow to all the silly, crazy stuff that Phil Spencer said. That was a lie. All those lies he told on the Gamescom stage right there were all exposed right then and there. It was reprehensible on how he tried to frame it as a Larian thing. Baldur's Gate 3 has features that on any top-end AAA ecosystem is playable. Hell, split screen was even available on Google Stadia. It was available on Google Stadia. It's available on any PC within the recommended specs, which the recommended specs aren't crazy, aren't insane. It's available on all PlayStation 5 consoles. Why is the Xbox the only one that's not available? You have all those other areas where it's available. It's just not available on this one place because it can't deal with the Series S, or it's not possible on the Series S. And you want to talk to gamers like they're dumb, and you have the audacity to make it seem like this is just some zany thing that they want to do, and we're in support of helping them get it added so the game can come to the ecosystem. But because it's not a problem with us and our hardware, we're just gonna we're gonna show some patience, and we're gonna get there when we get there. To now Larian saying, oh, guess what? Now it's not there at launch. Oh yeah, we'll work on it. Just like they're working on Redfall 60 frames per second. We'll work on it. But you ain't got to worry about that holding you back. It's going to be available on the X. Good for Larian. Phil Spencer, if you're listening, if someone's listening on your behalf, I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think this endpoint of deception is what you're used to. Or, I mean, not used to, what you desired when you took this job. I think this is a byproduct of your evangelist marketing that you guys so pushed and relied upon, opposed to quality results. I think it's a time to let it go. I think you will see the success that you want to see when you speak directly to your new current demographic. There are a lot you just don't understand how many gamers are out there that respond to me and say, Moss, I like the Xbox. Okay, it doesn't do this and doesn't do that, but it makes gaming accessible to me. I don't mind. I'm not a resolution guy. I'm not a frames per second person. It's not horrible to me. xCloud makes gaming accessible to me. I love it. The fact that this stuff is transferable to my PC game, it's accessible to me. Game Pass, PC, cloud, console. I love this, man. Like, I don't get what your issue is with this. You're too picky. You don't know the amount of gamers that say that to me. Because if you knew, then you would be more transparent. Start talking more to these gamers. Let hardcore gamers know that there's still something there for them. You can get high quality content. You know, you may not, but you know, you look, we've partnered for gamers, for fans of high quality content. We definitely got something for them. You know what I'm saying? Even for those that are looking beyond the capabilities of the Series X. I mean, we designed the X for them, but even for those that are looking for capabilities beyond the Series X, we are partnering with, you know, you can find our games day and date on PC. And for those that don't have the financials or the means or the resources to build one of those rigs of the top 1%, we've partnered with GeForce Now to where you can get that top 1% experience via the GeForce Now Ultimate tier. We have something for hardcore gamers. So we get to where they're looking for more than maybe 30 frames per second on the console for some of our biggest games or some of our most talked about games. They can get it there. We've now integrated to the Windows PC store. You're going to see even more games coming. So we got a little something for everybody. That's what I would be saying. Well, what about what you're doing with, look, Sony's doing their own thing. Sony's gathering their resources and they want to double down on doing the thing that they do. And that's fine with them. We feel like we're giving you more. We're giving you more bang for your buck. Be transparent. There are going to be people that hear that and say, well, I don't want necessarily bang for my buck. I want quality. I got to get me a PlayStation. But I think you will be surprised at the end how many people say, you know what? I might have to give me a PlayStation, but I dig what you're saying, Xbox. I'm a AAA genre defining gamer. I dig what you're saying, and you do have something for me. So yeah, maybe I don't spend $17 a month with you anymore. Maybe I do drop it $7, but I stay with you. Opposed to me finally running into that final wall where you can't kick the can pass, and I'm like MM2K, I'm completely jaded from your service and your product, and I don't want nothing to do with y'all. Y'all can still retain me right now. Y'all have something with any integrity left that you can maintain. I get so many people that aren't genre defining seekers that are willing to hop all over your product. Now, does that mean that you're going to see as much success as PlayStation off the console market alone? No, you're not. But you're going to have a healthy place to springboard from and officially make up the gap if you're transparent with people here in the console space. You hit your marks here with the things that you do promise. And then for the things that are being utilized to expand your footprint, the technology behind them, wait for it, actually does what you say it's going to do. That's where your investments are better utilized opposed to gobbling up studios to ensure that they release on your platform. Why don't you Double up your own factory. Make it run more efficient. Make it pop out more efficient product and services that meet the criteria of the product placement that you are trying to reach. Let me see what else we got. And I think that's it. That's it. All right, y'all. We hit the 3-hour mark. We're over the 3-hour mark. I was going to do the game stream today. The game stream will be pushed back to tomorrow. And my apologies. We're going to get it ready. I'm going to do it like around 3 o'clock. Yeah, I'm going to do it around 3 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, we got to push it back. With that said, appreciate all of y'all. It's been so long that I got a chance to talk to you guys. I had so much fun. And of course, it went over. I was planning on doing just an hour and a half. You know I can't do that. But that's where we're at, y'all. So we recorded a video. I got an article dropping tomorrow. I really want to I really want to see the product get its just due, and that's the Xbox product as far as it's getting its shine and getting its recognition based upon what it really offers. And it doesn't have to offer genre defining experiences. I think there's value there, even for hardcore game for genre defining gamers. I think there's value there, but you just got to be transparent. All right, with that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace. He said, Series S needs to be boycotted. You know what, Cold Blood? I'm not going to argue against that. For those that were sold a bag of goods, and I remember somebody asked me about a class action lawsuit or something like that. I think that was Sean, the gamer. Look, man, I wouldn't be crying for Xbox if that was the end result. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You can't lie to people and always get away scot-free. But you can fix it, though. You can learn from your lessons, lick your wounds, and fix it. And like I said, I think there's value in the product. They just got to do better and being transparent. With that said, appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Till next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.